Hello and welcome to this webinar. I really appreciate and respect that you're taking time out of your week in your business to learn how to make both your business and your life better, more fulfilling, hopefully more under control. What we're going to be covering are the 3 killer mistakes that create disappointing profits, energy-sapping stress, and oppressively long hours. And they're not going to be what you think they are. Most of the mistakes that people usually talk about are symptoms of the 3 mistakes we'll be exploring. But before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about me and why you should care about anything I have to say. My name is Warren Coughlin. I am a business coach. I've been a business coach for the last 11 years. I was a business coach with the world's largest business coaching organization, and I was their top coach in Canada for the last 6 years. Now, I left that organization just because I wanted to really focus my efforts on helping what I call philanthropreneurs. A philanthropreneur is an entrepreneur who wants to make a lot of money while making the world a better place. In other words, they want to profit with principle. And those are the people I really want to help, and that's where I've decided to focus my efforts. I'm also what I call a recovering lawyer. I practiced down on Bay Street for a number of years. I'm also a serial entrepreneur, having had a number of businesses in the new media space. I was a professor at Seneca College, and I'm an actor and award-winning theater director. Now, as an entrepreneur, I've run 5 businesses with a total of 20 staff, generating millions in revenue. As a business coach, I work with clients one-on-one, in group programs, and planning sessions to help business owners like you achieve your dreams. Apart from these facts, though, there's the why I've gone through these various incarnations. It's because of a desire to make a difference. See, it's kind of weird to have a bio that starts at birth, but it's kind of important in my case, because when I was born, I was supposed to die. I was the second person in history to live through a congenital defect. The doctors had told my parents I had 0 chance of survival. Fortunately, that was wrong. But when I discovered that, it stirred in me a desire to do something with this gift, to make a difference. So I went into law and considered politics, then art through theater and academia, then entrepreneurship. And that's where it kind of happened. First, I did it on my own, then by trying to help other entrepreneurs. And what I've come to believe is that entrepreneurship is one of the most powerful forces for positive social change. So you as an entrepreneur, what do? You create. You create change, you create opportunity, you create jobs, you create innovative products and services, you create experiences. And in one of my favorite plays, Rent, there's a great line that says, "The opposite of war is not peace, it is creation." And what that means is that what you do matters. It matters not just to you, it matters to future employees dreaming of working for an awesome company. It matters to customers looking for a business they can actually trust and rely on. And it matters to others wondering if they can profit without selling their soul, who are all waiting for you to either give them that opportunity or to show them the way. And so if it matters, then it matters that you do it well, which is really what this session is all about. What you learn in this webinar is what I teach to my one-on-one clients, and with that information, they get some pretty great experiences. Like my client R.A. Now, I don't use names because I like to hold confidentiality. But my client R.A., when he joined me, he was in severe debt to the government and was experiencing boredom with his business, wondering if he should continue. Now he's making close to $2 million a year with constant month-over-month increases, starting second and third businesses, and developing a second tier of management that lets him pick the hours he works. In addition, he's now taking what he's learned and experienced and is beginning to mentor other entrepreneurs. That's kind of cool. Or like R&K. Now, they were close to bankruptcy. In fact, I'll never forget that. They called me in at a meeting at their accountant's office to help decide if they should close the doors or continue. We mapped out a recovery strategy. Their business is now doing over $11 million a year and is being courted by potential purchasers. Kind of nice, right? Well, if you'd like that kind of result, take notes. And stick around until the end, because I'm going to give you a marketing planning tool that I share with my clients that will help you get a lot of clarity on your customers, their pains, your offers, as well as when and how to reach them. But before we get to the 3 big mistakes, let's talk about what this is really all about. I have what I call my heretical idea. It's heretical because people don't usually talk about business in these terms. See, I believe that you deserve to be, not just can you be, but if you are an ethical entrepreneur, if you're trying to make the world a better place through your business while providing for yourself and your family, then you are providing more value into the world, not less. So that means you deserve to be not just successful, but ridiculously successful in business. You deserve to be exceptionally happy in your personal life, optimally fit, healthy, and energetic, and a powerful and positive influence on the world. If you're not experiencing all of those things, then you really want to pay attention. So what this all really means is that your business should be a vehicle through which you live a fulfilling and satisfying life. But here's an interesting thing. Very few people have been taught what actually makes for a happy, fulfilling life. Now, this is really important for two reasons. First, what good is a bunch of business education if it doesn't actually give you the life you want? Second, your brain is actually about 31% more productive and effective on positive than it is on neutral or negative, which means getting this, understanding this, will in fact make you and your business more effective and better. So before we get into the 3 big mistakes, I want to share with you a framework I've developed for living an awesome life. To start though, think about 3 of the happiest events in your life. Look back and think of them. Those events in which you were most happy, in which you felt engaged, alive, grounded, like things clicked or were in flow. Get them clear in your mind. Now let me ask you, did any of them involve sitting alone in front of your computer surfing the internet? Did they involve sitting around gossiping or bad-mouthing somebody else? Did they involve playing video games? Were any of them just wandering around shopping for stuff? But what do we actually do most of the time? So do we take full responsibility to make our lives as fulfilling as possible? Why do we make the choices we do? Do you focus your thoughts and energies on doing the things that bring you the most happiness? We're going to come back to these 3 events, so keep them handy. So this little framework I'm going to show you, it's quite simple in the way it looks, but it's quite deep and complicated with everything that's gone into it. It's taken me about 8 or 9 years to put this together. So at a real foundational level, there are 2 axes on this grid. The first of them is satisfaction. Now, satisfaction represents those things that we normally associate with success. You know, the house, the car, the income, the job, the 2.3 kids in private school, the cottage up north, a membership at the club, all that kind of stuff. But we all know people who have all those things but are still miserable sods, right? So what does that mean? That means those things are not enough to provide us a true quality of life that we subjectively experience as something that gives us fulfillment and happiness. So there's something else at play, and that's engagement. Engagement is what gives you the fuel, the charge, the excitement, the enthusiasm that sustains you over time in a way that provides you that fulfilling life. And the 2 things together are what really max out your potential for fulfillment. Now, think about how you might evolve through this. Remember when you graduated from school or started your first job or started your first business? You were super keen, right? You were going to get out there, change the world, make a lot of money, have an impact, whatever it is you were out for. But you were really excited, but you didn't have a lot. I mean, I remember when I graduated from law school, I was living in this crappy 1-bedroom apartment on the 2nd floor of a kind of rundown house. Had couple cockroaches and a mouse, I think, running around, and when the neighbor next door was raising pigeons in cages on the roof of his garage. Not exactly an auspicious beginning, right? But did I care? No, because I was gonna wind up making the money and having the great stuff. I was just keen at that stage to get started. So at this stage, you're a rookie, right? You're a rookie. You're really keen, but you don't have a lot. Now, from here, people move in one of 3 directions. Now, some people, as keen as they are, they don't get the stuff, either at all or as fast as they want. And so what happens to them? Well, they start to get a little bit bitter, maybe even sad. But who's the one person they are not going to hold responsible for that outcome? Themselves. So what do? They cast blame. They externalize the responsibility for it, right? They blame the economy. They blame their boss. They blame their school. They blame their parents. It's always someone else's fault. Or they make excuses, right? So now as adults, we call excuses reasons. You know, the reason I'm not hiring well, the reason I'm not growing my business, the reason I'm not doing my marketing, the reason I'm not educating myself. They're all really good reasons, but the thing is, those don't produce results. Or they engage in denial. Right? So they deny they've contributed to the problem, they deny there even is a problem, or they deny that they can contribute to a solution to the problem. In other words, they are victims. And victims, here's the magic rule. Victims don't get rich. They don't get rich in money, in health, in wealth, in happiness, in relationships. Now, some people actually do get the stuff. And so they get the house and the car and the 50-inch screen TV, and they sit in the basement eating Doritos, watching Survivor, gaining weight, being unhealthy, cheating on their spouse, wondering why their life isn't satisfying. They're called bystanders. These are people who aren't actively participating in life in a way that's fulfilling.